There are over 100 different world mythologies that we know of. Probably the best known are the Greek, the Norse, the Romans, or even the Egyptian. It depends on where you were born, basically. But anyone with knowledge of more than one mythology would realize that there are some glaring similarities between them. For example, one similarity is that every mythology says that the earth was created out of a state of chaos or a nothingness or a void. Think about in the Norse mythology, the Ginnungagap, the yawning gap or nothingness, I don't know, the yawning void. Um, or even in the Bible, where God created the heavens and earth in 6 days. So it all started off in a state of chaos, but then through a godly interference, the earth became what is the earth right now. Another similarity, and maybe a little bit more specific, is the story of a great flood. In Christian mythology, this is in Christian in the Bible, it is the story of the Ark of Noah. But the story about a great flood is actually quite common in other mythologies as well. The story usually goes something like this: there is a deity or deities who send a purging storm to the world because the humans have misbehaved themselves and they need to be punished. But generally, there is one person. In the case of the Bible or the Christians, this is Noah, who survives the disaster and has to repopulate the entire world. Um, but this story about a great flood is actually quite common in other mythologies as well, like in the Epic of Gilgamesh in Babylonian mythology, that is, or even in Greek and in Norse mythology, there are also stories about the great floods. There are many other similarities between mythologies, but I will just list one more, and that is that in many mythologies that there is a certain center of the world that functions as a point of contact between different parts of the universe. Now, that sounds probably very abstract, but let's make it a little bit more specific. So, in the Norse mythology, this is the Yggdrasil, like the big tree who stands in the center of the world, and that connects all the 9 worlds, Asgard, Midgard, and so on. And most of the time, it is actually a tree that functions as the center of the world. But there are also mythologies where it's not a tree but a mountain. For example, in the Buddhist mythology, there is the Mount Meru. Now, all these similarities between the different mythologies lead us to the question why and how does it come that they are so similar? Now, there are two main possibilities or theories explaining why this might be the case. The first one states that there existed a certain primal shared ancestral mother mythology, um, and this theory actually works quite well with the Norse, the Greek, the Roman, even the Indian mythologies, because they are all mythologies of Indo-European people who spoke Indo-European languages. So this could be an explanation. Um, and the Semitic and the Egyptian mythologies, although they are not Indo-European, they are geographically very close to the Indo-European mythology, so they could have over time blended, or the mutual influence could have become very similar. But um, that doesn't explain why the other mythologies, for example, the Chinese or the Japanese or even the Polynesian mythologies, are also similar because they are on the other side of the world. There is no way they could have been influenced that much in the early days with the Indo-European cultures. So this is where the second theory comes in, and this theory states that there is a certain deep layer called the what's it called? Called the collective unconscious that we all humans share. And this collective unconscious has habits, preferences, even maybe even shared memory um, that controls the way we think, the way we perceive the world, the way we make up stories. Uh, so if this is the case, then it's no surprise that every human being answers the same like eternal questions like where do we come from, how is the earth created, And it's no surprise that every human answers those questions in a quite similar way, and thus myths develop in quite similar ways. Personally, I think that the first theory sounds rather plausible, but we will never know sure because there is no attested material from the existence of such a proto-Indo-European mythology, and we will never find any probably. Um, what do you think? Leave your thoughts below. Do you think the first theory is the most possible, or do you think there is maybe a mix of both sounds the most plausible? Let me know in the comments.